Today's topic is it's going to be on exercise and the elements surrounding it. So one of the big things that I like to really touch base on is that when we think of exercise, we think of something that is transient. It's something that is cool, something that is fun. We turn on TV and we see people doing crazy exercises. We go on social media and we see people doing outlandish exercises, and we think that that is what exercise is. The term exercise is definitely in that same field, in terms of an exercise is an action that is done, I guess, to whether it be heighten someone's self-awareness or self-esteem, or even their personal health. But exercise as a fundamental piece is much bigger than that. So there are a bunch of different factors that go into exercise, and there's a bunch of different things that kind of go into making someone feel, look, and generally just be better. One of the big factors, though, and I think it's super important to touch base on, is maintenance. When we talk about exercise and maintenance, I think that the correlation is so highly intertwined, yet very, very loosely understood. The general maintenance aspect of exercise is that people generally hate doing exercise, and even for the ones that finally love to do it, even more so, they hate maintenance. And so when I talk about maintenance, that's it's not just something that's a cool word I made up. It's more so the understanding is that in order to keep the body running at a high level, we also have to ensure that we are prepping it for the cause of action that we're putting it through. So some of the big fundamentals of maintenance are flexibility, and mobility, right? And so before we even get into those, when we talk about exercise, just to go back to that basic definition, if you are exercising, generally, this is not always the case, but if you're exercising, you generally have a purpose. And particularly when we're talking about, the personal training world, you don't have a client that comes to you and says, hey, I want to exercise with you for absolutely no reason. A big proponent of why they come to you is because they have a goal. It doesn't have to be a physical goal. It could be something that, is in the back of their mind. They could just want to feel healthier. You hear this all the time. I want more energy. Newsflash, more energy is a goal. If it is more than what you had before, you were aiming towards getting there. Therefore, it is a measured progression, and thus a goal. So that being said, with exercise in mind, we really got to fundamentally look at the structure we put around it, and what that structure kind of pervades. So some of the bigger things that are super important to note is that if you don't have structure around some of your exercise programming, how do you intend to kind of get to where you want to go? And, some of that structure does rely in that maintenance element. So now, to go back to that flexibility and mobility component, when we talk about flexibility, flexibility can be seen in the loosest terms as the length of, muscle tissue. So, the ability for muscle to lengthen and shorten, in exercise in any way, shape, or fashion, whether it be passive or active. When we talk about mobility is more so a range of motion component. So, looking into the joints of an individual, what is the capability or ability for this person to, create optimal mobility or functionality within their joint process? That's kind of the mobility element. When we put those two together, those are two of the big proponents of maintenance. So, let's take, Sally Joe. Sally Joe has a goal. She says, hey, listen, I want to have more energy. You ask Sally Joe, okay, when would you like to have more energy by? She doesn't really know. You ask her, okay, how hard do you want to get into more energy? And she says, I'm not really sure. You say, okay, is there any reason why you want it? Sally Joe gives you an ambiguous answer. So how do we start? The first thing you got to figure out is, what Sally Joe's capability to move. And then second, once we figure out what her capability to move is, and we plan out her exercises and all these other things, how do we maintain her structure and stature? So, you'll see the common trainer will say, all right, I need to see you, Sally Joe, 2-3 times a week. Sally Joe wants more energy, probably has never worked out before in her life, maybe has, maybe it's 20 years ago. If it was, she's a completely different person, so that doesn't really matter. So they come 2-3 times a week. Sally Joe's comes to that first session. You see Sally Joe in the second session, guess what she says? I'm so sore. So, newsflash right off the bat, if Sally Joe comes into her second session saying she's so sore, as a fitness professional, not just a personal trainer, because when we talk about personal trainers, we have this abstract thinking of what a personal trainer is. The actual term personal training or trainer is held so low in terms of, the general fitness world perspective now, because everyone and their mother's a personal trainer. But when we're talking about a fitness professional, so someone that is in the fitness world, in the realm of fitness, with the understanding that they want to help people, not for a monetary increase, not for the bonus in their paycheck, but for the greater good. A fitness professional is someone who holds themselves to a higher standard. If you are that person for a fitness professional, when we hear that someone says, I am so sore, we are already behind the ball of where we need to be. Why? Because that means that we need to, and probably should have already, put in some proponent or component of maintenance. So what does this mean? This means whether it be a flexibility training, whether it be a mobility training. A big thing the trainers say is, okay, you know what? We get through our workout. Things are great. We had a good time. We give Sally Joe a high five. Great job, Sally. All right. Sally Joe says, okay, should I do anything after the workout? And you say, yeah, Sally. You go home, stretch out your quads, stretch out your glutes, stretch out your lats, and I'll see you on Wednesday. What's the problem with that, though? If Sally has never worked out before, she's probably just going to nod, and nod. She doesn't know what her quads, glutes, or lats even mean, and she's going to go home not really sure and say, you know what, I'll just see him on Wednesday. And even if she has worked out, do you think anyone's really going home and doing that? The big reason why they were in front of you is because they lack the motivation to move. So why would they go home and have the intrinsic motivation on their own? They're not going to have that. So as a fitness professional, you need to not just give people randomized or even structured workouts in order to assure their success. You need to also give them that back end proponent. That's what keeps people coming, is a maintenance element. There's one thing that you can show someone how to work out. You can be with them, you can have a good time, you can laugh, you can joke. But when you teach them how to work out, you educate them on the higher understandings of fitness and health. That's when you can really close the gap between being, a regular everyday Joe and somebody who really cares about their clientele. So maintenance is super duper important in exercise for that reason. So if we take the two and we put them together, we say, well, how do they fit together? Maintenance and exercise are definitely, correlative. We can't have exercise without having maintenance. We can definitely have maintenance without exercise, but we can't have exercise without maintenance, because the more we create maintenance the more we create exercise means the more we create stimulus. The more stimulus we create, particularly with people at a low level of fitness, means the more overstimulated they will become. Maintenance is that element that keeps them functioning, not just to come back to the gym, but in everyday life. If someone comes into your bubble in space, fitness, they're already a little bit, standoffish, they're already a bit reserved. They come in, they say, I want to take this big step, this huge step of moving forward in my life. And, they leave there after the first day, they wake up the next day, and all they can do is, lift their head out of bed because the rest of their body is so destroyed, and you don't help them maintain. You're giving them not a small, not a, a medium, not a big, you're giving them a huge reason why they should never come back. Nobody wants to come to something to feel better, and then they feel worse. If you don't see the big correlation between those 2 points, guys, then, we're not quite where we need to be in terms of building that brand as who you are and who you want to be moving forward. So the big factor, the big thing that I'm really laying down the line in the sand is, if ever you are asked to assist or to supply or, in any form, way or shape, give some sort of exercise programming to a clientele, always ensure there is a maintenance proponent behind it. It has nothing to do with how much money you're getting paid. It has everything to do with whether or not you care. And the reality is, if you're in the health and fitness world, care is all that it's about. keep that in mind when you're, putting together your programming. If you're thinking about getting into health and fitness, if you're already in, or maybe you have a trainer that you're not quite sure about, exercise and maintenance go hand in hand. And if you're not seeing that right now, guys, there definitely can be some growth in programming. Anyway, that's the lesson for today. Have a great day, guys. Peace.